it's really a great honor to eulogize a man. This is going to be very hard for me. I'm sorry. It's an honor to eulogize a man that I truly love. I'll try to get through this as fast as I can. I'm so sorry. I was asked to give a eulogy at my father's memorial service, and I just bawled for 10 minutes. I couldn't say a word. I'll try to do better this time. That's why I wrote a lot down. I'll try to do my best to get through this as quickly as possible, and forgive me for being so emotional, but Bill and I have been through a lot. I was his caretaker for about 9 years. I'm not very good with times and dates and stuff. I mean, maybe it was shorter, maybe it was longer, I don't know, but we went through a lot of surgeries and medical procedures, and the whole time he was really stoic. His body was really tough right up to the end. His mind he had a lot of fears, but his body was strong. And I first met Bill and by the way, he always, whenever anyone asked him what his name was, he always said William, even though I call him Bill, and Billy, and most people know him as Billy. But I met him about 20 years ago at the Bookseller Cafe, and some of you know about that in Cambridge. It was down in the cellar, and he performed there. And at the time, I was living with what he described as the mother of my son, Lenore. Lenore is breathtakingly beautiful. A former beauty queen, Miss Montgomery of Montgomery, Alabama, and had a southern drawl that could melt your heart. Anyway, I digress. But Bill was, I think, Lenore was Bill's, I think, third wife. I'm not sure. I kind of second. Right, thank you. I wasn't sure. Thanks so much.
Two that we know.
Someone here would know.
Two that we know of.
Exactly. So she and I lived together for about 17 years, and she introduced me to Bill. And when I later became Bill's caregiver, the running joke when people would ask us, we were out together a lot, traveling around, and he was short and white hair, and I was tall and much younger, and they'd say, well, to me, is this your father? And I'd say, no, he's not my father. And then the next question was, well, how do you know him? And we'd say, we were married to the same woman. And they look at him and they look at me. And they just didn't get it, but we did. So that was an improbable scenario, but there's just so many improbable scenarios. I mean, Bill's life was like the movie Big Fish. I started writing, and I've got this whole notebook full. So I plan to write a little biography with all the little details, all the little stories I know, but the time constraints just don't allow me to do that. So, but I plan to do that. And also, I have got a lot of video footage of him, and that will be posted online. So if any of you are interested in reading that or seeing the videos, please leave your name on the table, and I'll put a piece of paper there. You can just put your email down. I'll make sure you know. Also, Bill's favorite season was the fall. And there's two memorial services planned for the fall. Chad Parento's planning one in Buda, who is on his way here, but unfortunately can't get in because there's no handicap access. Was part of the Barnum and Buda traveling poetry circus. Among many, many troops of performers that Billy performed with. Billy loved people, and people loved Billy. I'd walk down the street, and these beautiful young women would just staring at me. Who is that? Everyone, just like, you know, they were just transfixed. It was like, I looked at their faces, and it was like, they were transported. It was like, because Billy had a presence that really, I believe, came out of his lifelong spiritual practice. And there's just so many details, but I'll try to cut to the chase so that, you know, I don't keep you here too long. But obviously he loved books and poetry and also fiction. But we would go to the Trident bookstore on Newbury Street, which he said, if I owned the Trident bookstore, I'd have it open 24/7, night and day. I'd have people sleeping here, and that was his dream. He wanted to own the Trident bookstore, you know. He loved books. When we got to the bookstore, he'd run to the bargain books, you know, shelf, and, you know, he'd get the bargain books. And the thing about books, well, anyway, one thing he always grabbed when we were at the Trident bookstore was the Spirit of Change magazine. And this is a holistic alternative health magazine. And he was very much interested in spirituality and alternative health. And I think the title of that magazine, Spirit of Change, kind of sums up Bill's life. He was a spirit of change. And some people might not know about him, how the prominent role that spirituality and holistic natural healing played in Bill's life throughout his life. He was a seeker. And I'll get more into why that was, but just like Kerouac and Ginsberg and the other poets, the beat poets on the spiritual road, with the other Dharma bums, he was the same, you know. He was steeped in Eastern religions, and that deeply affected his life and his poetry. I don't know when his spiritual, you know, path began, but I do know he loved the Hare Krishnas. Living in downtown Boston, the Hare Krishnas were on the street, and they were singing in the 60s. You know, he was singing in the 60s with the Hare Krishnas, and he'd clap and dance on the street. Then he'd go back to their temple for a free meal to eat. And he was a vegetarian his whole life, or I don't know if it was his whole life, but certainly many, many years. And he traveled through many spiritual paths. Buddha was going to tell you about one of them, a special, I don't know, some kind of Gnostic ceremony or something that they did together. But Marty knows he was on a Nichiren Shoshu path of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I know it's changed. I know it's, well, tell me what it's now. It's a new name.
Nichiren Buddhism.
Nichiren Buddhism. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Anyway, that's an old name. But he would chant to, you know, to the scroll for hours and hours and hours. And then also he was initiated in the Shabbat Shah, the path of the masters, meditating on the sound and light current. So a lot of these practices, I believe, contributed to the focus that Bill had in his performances and the light that emanated from him. I truly believe that in many ways he was very enlightening. But he was very disciplined. Like a lot of people think, oh, he's just kind of a flake, but he was very, very disciplined. You know, he did have childlike innocence and boy-like qualities, but he was very, very much a man, a very tough man, physically. I mean, I can't go into all the details of what he went through physically, but he was very disciplined in his practice and chanting, and he learned yoga from the yogi tea boxes. From Yogi Bhajan. That's how he learned yoga. Drinking yogi tea. could be the posture and the saying. That's how he learned. Every day he'd exercise to keep his instrument, his body. You know.
Bob,
Yeah.
we do have a little time limit.
Yeah,
They're going to kick us out of here at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Okay. Wrap it up. All right. So the thing I want people to know about Bill is that he was a consummate professional. When Bill worked in the 60s at the Huntington Theater Company with Paul Benedict of the Jeffersons fame, and Dustin Hoffman before The Graduate, he, according to Lenore, was the first to learn his lines, and he showed up always on time. And he wouldn't hurt a fly. I never heard him say a negative word about anyone. And he coped with a life of bullying, teasing, schizophrenia, drug addiction, stints in mental hospitals, which he called the funny farm, a horrific car accident broke every bone in his body, strokes, OCD, tremors, stuttering, many surgeries, and et cetera, et cetera. You know, I could go on and on. He had tremendous fears that people don't understand. He was afraid of the dark. He heard things and saw things that weren't there. But mental illness knows no class. It knows no wealth, no station in life. It touches us all. And he coped with these conditions that might have killed the lesser man through his humor, through his spiritual practices, isometrics, ballet. And I'm going to wrap it up. I'm almost there. And anyway, he loved people, and people loved him, and he played well with others. And I guess I don't. One thing, he often spoke very, very proudly of his children. And he won numerous poetry awards. One paid him $2,000. Kevin White, a former mayor of Boston, declared a day in his honor, Billy Barnum Day. He received a crystal chalice from the mayor of Bethel, Connecticut, because of his connection with P.T. Barnum. A restaurant in Boston is named after a poem he wrote, The Black Sea. His last recorded poem was a love sonnet. He couldn't speak, so he sang it. And I have that recorded. He just sang it, just expressing the love in his heart.